So it says over here, this is really the Hebrew letter Zion for those of you who are not familiar with the Hebrew letters. And this is Zion. The Hebrew letters are also numbers. So the letter Zion is number 7, and this is the seventh principle, the principles of the holy Rambam Maimonides. Ani Ma'amim, I believe, B'Emunah Shalema, in with complete faith, Shenevuas Moshe Rabbeinu Olav Shalom, Chosech Amitis was true, V'Shehu Hoya Av the Nevi'im, and he actually is the father of all Nevi'im. L'kod min lefanah, those who came before him, v'alaboyim acharov, and those who come after him. Let's read the translation of Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan as well. He says, I believe with perfect faith that the prophecy of Moses is absolutely true. He was the chief of all prophets, but both before and after him. In Yigdal, the song says like this, there has not risen another like Moses, a prophet who looked upon his image. I'm not sure what that last part meant, a prophet who looked upon his image. So the seventh principle involves Moshe. So he says, we believe that Moses was the chief of all prophets. He was superior to all other prophets, whether they preceded him or rose afterward. Moses attained the highest possible human level. He perceived the godly to agree, surpassing every human being that ever existed. He literally elevated himself from the level of the mere human to that of an angel. Moses himself, thus, became like an angel. There was no barrier that he did not split and penetrate. Nothing physical held him back. He was not tainted by any deficiency, great or small. His thoughts, senses, and feelings ceased to exist entirely. His conscious mind was completely separated and became a pure spiritual being. It is for this reason that we say that he spoke to God without needing an angel or an interpreter. I would very much like to explain this mystery and unlock its secrets in the Torah. In the Torah, God says of Moses, mouth to mouth, I will speak to him. And this entire passage requires considerable explanation. Now, what did he say? He said, I spoke to him mouth to mouth. Before I could delve into this, however, I would first have to cite many proofs, propositions, introductions, and examples. First, I would have to explain the nature of angels and how they differ from God himself. The soul and all its powers would also have to be explained. The discussion would then have to be expanded to include an exposition of all the images that the prophet used to describe God and the angel. This in turn would involve the discussion of the divine stature. So he says, what's that? The Shir Komo and all that it involves. Now that is a Kabbalistic idea, which really shows the flow of light from the Most High and Infinite to us. Even this would not suffice, and no matter how concise such a discussion would be, it would involve an essay of at least 100 pages. I will therefore leave these matters for a book of discourses that I plan to write. Otherwise, I will include this discussion in a work on the prophets that I am currently writing, or in a special volume explaining these 13 principles. Now he says, returning to this seventh principle, let us distinguish Moses' prophecy from that of all other prophets in 4 ways. So here's number 1. He said God spoke to all other prophets through an intermediary. Moses alone did not need any intermediary. This is what the Torah means when it says, in God's name, mouth to mouth, I will speak to him. In other words, it's 100% personal. Every other prophet could only receive prophecy while sleeping. We therefore find in numerous places that prophecy is described as a dream at night, a vision of night. If prophecy does occur during the day, it only comes when the prophet falls into a trance, where all his dreams are obliterated and his mind becomes as passive as in a dream. This state is called a vision or an insight. To Moses, however, the word came by day when he stood fully awake before the two cherubim. God himself thus testified, I will meet with you there, and I will speak with you from above the ark cover, from between, let's turn the page, from between the two cherubim that are on the ark of testimony. God likewise said, here's in Numbers, if there be a prophet among you, then I, God, will make myself known to him in a vision. I will speak to him in a dream. This is not true of my prophet Moses. Mouth to mouth, I will speak to him. Even though other prophets only experienced a vision in a trance and then only through an angel, it was still a very traumatic experience for them. That's something a lot of people maybe don't know. Their strength would fail, their stature would become disarrayed, and they would experience such dread that they would come close to death. After the angel Gabriel spoke to Daniel in a vision, Daniel said, I became powerless. My appearance was disarrayed, and my strength deserted me, and I fell on the ground in a trance. He later said the vision caused me to become dislocated, and I had no strength left. This, however, was not true of Moses. The word came to him without his experience any trembling or terror whatsoever. The Torah thus says God spoke to Moses face to face. There it is again, as a man speaks to his friend. Moses' prophecy was just like a friendly conversation, involving no agitation whatsoever. Moses did not tremble at the word, even though it was face to face. This was because he was so completely attached to the spiritual, as discussed earlier. Number 4, other prophets could not perceive a prophecy whenever they desired. It all depended on God's will. A prophet might wait days and years and still not achieve prophecy. All that he could do was plead to God to reveal a vision and then wait until it came. This might take days and months, and sometimes it might never come. There were numerous groups who purified their minds and constantly kept themselves in preparation for prophecy. We are told that when he sought prophecy, Elisha said, and this is in Kings, now bring me a musician. Still, even with his preparation, it was not certain that he would attain prophecy. Moses, on the other hand, could achieve prophecy whenever he desired. The Torah quotes him as saying, now wait, and I will hear what God commands in your case. God likewise told Moses, this is in Leviticus, speak to Aaron, your brother, that he not come at all times into the holy place. Our sages teach us that this means Aaron could not approach God whenever he pleased, but Moses could. Now in the code, which is the foundations of the Torah, begins like this. Moses was the master of all prophets. There are therefore numerous differences between Moses and all others. All other prophets could only achieve prophecy in a dream or a vision, while Moses could prophesy while standing fully awake. The Torah thus says, when Moses came into the tent of meeting, which is called the Ohel Moed in Hebrew, to speak to God, he heard the voice speaking to him. All other prophets only received prophecy through an angel. All that they could see was an allegory or metaphor. Moses, however, did not receive his prophecy through an angel. God tells us, mouth to mouth, I will speak to him. In another place, the Torah says God spoke to Moses face to face. So you have mouth to mouth and face to face. We also find Moses gazes upon a vision of God. This teaches us that Moses did not see a mere allegory, not just a story or storyline. He saw the thing as it was, without having to resort to any metaphor. The Torah thus says, I speak to him manifestly and not in allegory. Moses did not see an allegorical vision, but was able to see things as they truly are. All other prophets were terrorized, confused, and torn apart by their experience. This was not true of Moses. As the Torah says, God spoke to Moses as a man speaks to his friend. A man is not terrorized by his friend's conversation. Moses likewise had enough mental strength to understand words of prophecy with his composure totally unaffected. All other prophets could not achieve prophecy whenever they desired. This was not true of Moses. When he wished, he could be enveloped by divine inspiration, which is called Ruach HaKodesh, and prophecy would descend upon him. He would not have to concentrate and prepare himself for it, for he was in a constant state of concentration and preparation, just like a ministering angel. Now, this last part, I want to read it again. Now, we're going to learn after this, we're going to learn Rabbi Memran, and let's see what he says here. He would not have to concentrate and prepare himself for the vision, for he was in a constant state of concentration and preparation, just like a ministering angel. In other words, he was open to this, but trying all the time to be available. He could therefore prophesy at all times. And the Torah quotes him as saying, "Now wait, and I will hear what God commands in your case." So we're going to stop right here. And this is Baruch Flashman, Tigun Elevator Kolo, and this has been Aryeh Kaplan on the 13 principles. This is number 7.